Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to another video. And we just ranked quarterbacks. Today, we are going to be ranking every starting running back in the NFL this season. So the same rules apply from our quarterback video. We are going to be ranking all of the RB1s that we had from the beginning of the year. So obviously, all these guys at the bottom, most of these guys at the bottom have lost their running back one status and have really fallen off the face of the earth. And it'll be interesting to see who took that role and kind of where they went from there. But if you guys are new to the channel, please subscribe. And if you guys make it all the way to the end, please leave a like. But without further ado, let's hop into this. Coming in at number 32, we have Zamir White from the Las Vegas Raiders. And Zamir White obviously did not have a huge year. I was kind of high on him coming into the season. Especially in fantasy. I drafted him in like the 6th round in a couple leagues. Not a good choice whatsoever. Went on IR. Did not look good in the games that he played. He was behind the 22nd ranked offensive line, which I wanted to include offensive line rankings just to kind of show, what they were battling throughout the season. Because listen, all these guys are professionals. They're very good football players, but at the end of the day, it makes it way harder or way easier depending on how good your offensive line is. Let's just be real. But yeah, he was behind the 22nd ranked offensive line, and preseason we had him 32nd at the bottom. He stays at the bottom. We got that right. And yeah, Raiders definitely missed Josh Jacobs here in Las Vegas. Coming in at number 31, we have Ezekiel Elliott from the Dallas Cowboys, currently on the LA Chargers, which I actually thought that he was unemployed when I was making these slides, but he is on the Chargers. But he did not have a good year whatsoever, returning back to Dallas. 3.1 yards per carry, lost his role pretty early to Rico Dowdle and just did not look good at all. He was behind the 16th ranked offensive line here in Dallas, about middle of the pack. In preseason, we had him 31st. He stays right there as well. Coming in at number 30, a guy that really fell off the face of the earth, that's Raheem Mostert from the Miami Dolphins. And preseason, we had him 22nd. He drops 8 spots to number 30, lost his role very quick, and just did not look like the same player we saw last year. Etienne really took the RB1 role and held it all year. He was behind the 26th ranked offensive line. So this offensive line also took a dip here in Miami, but yeah, Raheem Mostert, I'd be surprised if we saw him on in a Dolphins uniform next year. Coming in at number 29, we have Gus Edwards from the LA Chargers, and he pretty much wasn't RB1 at all this year. He was listed as their RB1 on their depth chart at the beginning of the year. That's why he was in this video, but J.K. Dobbins took that role very early. But Gus Edwards, still a solid RB2. He was behind the 18th ranked offensive line this season, so about middle of the pack. And preseason, we had him 23rd. He dropped 6 spots to number 29 on our list here. Coming in at number 28, we have Nick Chubb from the Cleveland Browns. And this is a guy who honestly probably shouldn't have come back this season. And I'm not going to sit here and say that, I always knew he shouldn't come back. I wanted to watch Nick Chubb play all year, in the games leading up to his return. But when he came back, he just did not look like himself. This Browns team was lost this season. It was a completely lost season for them. So, yeah, Nick Chubb, not a great outing in the games that he played, and hopefully he'll bounce back next year. He was behind the 20th ranked offensive line, so this offensive line also got worse this season. And preseason, we had him 8th. He drops 20 spots to number 28, towards the bottom of the league, which is just so weird to see him at this spot. Coming in at number 27, we have Zach Moss from the Cincinnati Bengals, who also lost his RB1 status. Chase Brown definitely looked like the better running back here. And I was kind of high on Zach Moss at the beginning of the year. I thought, I really liked him when he was on the Colts in Jonathan Taylor's absence, and I thought he was going to be good on the Bengals, but it didn't really happen that way. He was running behind the 29th ranked offensive line, so obviously this offensive line was not good whatsoever. Preseason, we had him 19th. He drops 8 spots to number 27. Coming in at number 26, and talk about a guy who completely fell off the face of the earth this season, Travis Etienne Jr. from the Jacksonville Jaguars. It was, I don't know what happened this season with Etienne. I was super high on him going into the year. I had him ranked above guys like Jonathan Taylor, and it just... Yikes. I don't know what happened. It was a lost season in Jacksonville. Travis Etienne basically got phased out of this offense and just did not look good at all when he played. Preseason, we had him 6th. He drops all the way down to 26, dropping 20 spots in our rankings. Coming in at number 25, we have Javonte Williams from the Denver Broncos, and he was running behind the best ranked offensive line this season, which is honestly really impressive. I did not realize that the Broncos had the best offensive line in the league, at least statistically. Now, I am getting these numbers from Pro Football Focus or Pro Football Network. I don't remember which one. I'll leave a link in the description directing you guys to where I got this information. But Broncos had a very good offensive line this year. Javonte Williams kind of split the backfield. Honestly, I don't even know who was the RB1 in Denver. I couldn't tell you because I think all eyes were focused on Bo Nix, and rightfully so. Preseason, we had him 24th. He drops one spot to number 25. Coming in at number 24, we have Devin Singletary from the New York Giants. He was supposed to be Saquon's replacement, and he got pretty much outplayed by Tyrone Tracy early in the season and became the RB2 here in New York. He wasn't super bad, honestly, though. You know, we had him 29th in the preseason, but he jumps up 5 spots, which I think sounds more aggressive than it really is. Jumping up 5 spots, I think that it really just goes to show how many people dropped in this list. But he was running behind the 27th ranked offensive line in the NFL. Yeah, not a good offensive line in New York whatsoever. Coming in at number 23, we have Isaiah Pacheco from the Kansas City Chiefs. We really did not see a whole lot of Isaiah Pacheco this season. There was a lot of injuries that happened with him. He was in and out. And at the beginning of the year, to be honest, Isaiah Pacheco looked very good. But I think after he got hurt, it was just kind of hard for him to get his groove again. He was running behind the 5th ranked offensive line when he was playing. Obviously, good offensive line here in Kansas City. And in preseason, we had him 13th. He drops 10 spots to number 23. And I think he'll rise up this list next season once he's fully healthy. Coming in at number 22, we have DeAndre Swift from the Chicago Bears. And DeAndre Swift was just a part of a disappointing team. You know, he kind of had a disappointing year compared to his Philadelphia year, which is, to be expected when you look at the record. But he was solid. He was running behind the 17th ranked offensive line, according to wherever I got this information. But I would say that this offensive line, at least looks-wise, and at least in the passing game, was a lot worse than 17th. Preseason, we had him 16th, and he dropped 6 spots to number 22 on our list. Coming in at number 21, we have Christian McCaffrey from the San Francisco 49ers. And Christian McCaffrey, oh my goodness, this dude got absolutely destroyed by the Madden curse this season. And if you guys don't believe in the Madden curse, please just look at Christian McCaffrey and the San Francisco 49ers this season because it hit them very hard. And in 4 games, Christian McCaffrey did not have a single touchdown, just very uncharacteristic of him. He was running behind the 14th ranked offensive line when he did play. And preseason, we obviously had him first, best of the best, and he drops 20 spots to number 21. And it'll be interesting to see how McCaffrey plays, what his level of play will be next season when he is fully healthy, because even in the games he played this year, it just looked like he wasn't himself. Coming in at number 20, we have raAndre Stevenson from the New England Patriots. And raAndre... Here's the biggest thing about raAndre that sticks out to me. This dude was running behind the worst offensive line in the NFL, running in the worst offense in the NFL by far. and he was still able to put up some pretty solid numbers. So I think it just goes to show how talented he is. Preseason, we had him 27th, but he jumps up 7 spots on our list. And honestly, if you wanted him to go higher, I wouldn't be mad at that. In fact, I might just support that, honestly. Let's start a raAndre hype train right now. Coming in at number 19, we have Brian Robinson Jr. from the Washington Commanders. And Brian Robinson split the backfield mainly with Austin Eckler this season. And I would say both of them performed pretty well this year. The Commanders team in general performed pretty well this year. Their offensive line performed well. 8th ranked offensive line this season. And preseason, we had him 25th. And just like every Commander that we're ranking at the end of this season, he's jumping up on this list. And this time jumping up 6 spots to number 19. Coming in at number 18, we have Kenneth Walker III from the Seattle Seahawks. And Kenneth Walker kind of had a disappointing season, but he was running behind one of the worst offensive lines here in Seattle, the 30th ranked offensive line. Now, personally, I do think that Zach Charbonnet looked like the more efficient running back this season, and that's not me being biased. That's just my ball knowledge right there. But previously, we had him 12th, and he dropped 6 spots on our list to be at number 18. But yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see next season what the Seahawks want to do at running back. I think they have questions at running back and receiver. Who's going to be the main guy going forward? To me, I think it's Charbonnet and JSN, but I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. If I have any Seahawks fans out there, let me know what you guys think. Right now, as I'm recording this video, the Chargers and Texans are playing each other in the wild card round, and I have it on my phone. I'm watching the Nickelodeon broadcast, of course. And Bubba Bass just stole a seat. That freaking fat ass, man. Coming in at number 17, we have Rashad White from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Former Sun Devil, forks up, of course. And Rashad White, one of those guys who lost his starting role, and honestly very high on this list for losing his RB1 role, because Bucky Irving looked fantastic this season. But honestly, Rashad White was efficient. He averaged the highest yards per carry of his 3-year career this season, and he did what he does best on the receiving end, catching 51 catches and 6 receiving touchdowns. He was running behind the 3rd-ranked offensive line. Very, very impressive offensive line here in Tampa this season. And preseason, we had him 26th. He jumps up 9 spots to number 17. And coming in at number 16, we have Naji Harris from the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I will admit, I was pretty low on Naji coming into the season. I had him 28th in my rankings. The disrespect is crazy, but he jumps up 12 spots to number 16. And he was running behind the 24th ranked offensive line, which is a lot lower than I honestly thought it was going to be. I thought the Steelers had a better offensive line than that. But just to defend and justify my ranking at the beginning of the season, I totally thought that this was going to be the year that Jaylen Warren just took over that RB1 role and ran with it, but that obviously did not happen. Coming in at number 15, we have Tony Pollard from the Tennessee Titans. And Tony Pollard had a very solid season from what I was expecting. We had him 20th in the preseason. He jumps up 5 spots on our list. And like I said, impressive season. Similar situation to raAndre, where he was running behind one of the worst offensive lines in the NFL, in one of the worst offenses in the NFL, and was still able to produce. So shout out to Tony Pollard. Did a lot better this season than I thought. I thought for sure it was going to be the Tyjae Spears show. And then coming in at number 14, we have David Montgomery from the Detroit Lions. Now listen, I know a lot of Lions fans out there are probably racing to the comments, calling me an idiot that I don't have Jahmyr Gibbs here. But listen, at the beginning of the year, David Montgomery was listed as their RB1 in the depth chart. Now I promise next season it's going to be Jahmyr Gibbs. Jahmyr Gibbs went ham this season, but since I had him in my preseason video, we're going to rank him again here. But he stays right where he's at. I had him 14th in the preseason. David Montgomery, 12 rushing touchdowns. Did what he does best this season. And yeah, Lions, very impressive team, honestly. Let's move on. Coming in at number 13, we have Bryce Hall from the New York Jets. And this was a guy who was kind of disappointing to me. I was pretty high on him. I was a huge Bryce Hall fan coming into the season. And I don't know. It's kind of inevitable. When you're talking about a team that went 5-12, who was supposed to make the playoffs, I mean, a lot of their players are going to drop on this list. But in Bryce Hall's case, he drops 10 spots to number 13. And he was running behind the 25th ranked offensive line. So obviously not a good situation here in New York. But I hope he breaks out next season. I'm still on the hype train. I don't even care. Coming in at number 12, we have James Conner from the Arizona Cardinals, who had a very impressive season this year and earned himself a new contract here in Arizona. He was running behind the 7th ranked offensive line, and preseason we had him 21st, but he jumps up 9 spots to number 12 and had a very, very efficient year. And honestly, the Cardinals offense in general had an efficient year, especially their offensive line. Coming in at number 11, we have Aaron Jones from the Minnesota Vikings, who looked very, very impressive this season. And one thing you'll notice about these running back rankings is we had a lot of running backs who switched teams this past offseason. And I was kind of low on them because I didn't know how they were going to fit with their new teams. But a lot of them performed well. A lot of them jumped up this list. Aaron Jones is one of those examples. Very impressive in Minnesota, a part of a very surprising team. Everyone wants to talk about Sam Darnold, how he balled out. He definitely did ball out, but we got to give Aaron Jones his props here because he had a very good year in this offense. He was running behind the 10th ranked offensive line, and preseason we had him 18th. He jumps up 7 spots to number 11. Coming in at number 10, we have Kiron Williams from the LA Rams. And Kiron Williams looked really good this season, obviously. And the biggest thing about Kiron Williams is when Puka and Cooper Kupp went down, the Rams relied very heavily on Kiron Williams. And he was able to produce. He was able to kind of put this offense on his back for a little bit. 14 rushing touchdowns this season. He was running behind the 13th ranked offensive line. And preseason, we had him 10th. And we predicted him right. He stays right at number 10 here. But yeah, very impressive season for Kiron. Definitely the RB1 here in LA. And coming in at number 9, we have Joe Mixon from the Houston Texans, who definitely had a rocky finish to the season. But at the end of the day, this dude was running behind one of the worst offensive lines in Houston, the 31st ranked offensive line to be exact. Preseason, we had him 17th. He jumps up 8 spots to number 9. And cracking our top 10 as well. But yeah, Joe Mixon at the age he's at, I think he's like 28, maybe 29. I don't remember. He could be 30 as well. At the age he's at on a new team behind one of the worst offensive lines, he still had a very efficient year as a whole. Coming in at number 8, we have Alvin Kamara from the New Orleans Saints. And Alvin Kamara, if you're talking like the first 3 games of this season, he would be number 1 on this list. But obviously, shit just went absolutely sideways after that for the Saints. It was a lost season, but he still had a bounce back campaign in my book because I had him 15th, middle of the pack, and he jumps into the top 10 here, jumping up 7 spots to number 8. He was running behind a kind of bad offensive line, the 23rd ranked offensive line in the NFL. And it'll be interesting to see if the Saints move on from him or what they do with him, if they're going to go into a rebuild mode. I don't know. I don't know what the Saints are going to try and do this season. Coming in at number 7, we have my guy, Chuba Hubbard, and I hope I'm saying that name right. Panthers fans, let me know if I am saying that wrong. If it is actually his name and that's how you say it, that is a sick-ass name. But Chuba Hubbard from the Carolina Panthers, what a season this dude had. And let me tell you, the impressive thing about his season is he wasn't even just doing this when the Panthers offense was efficient, like in the latter half of the year. He was doing this when the Panthers offense looked horrible at the beginning of the season. I mean, he was consistently very, very good for them. He was running behind the 19th ranked offensive line. In preseason, we had him 30th. He jumps up 23 spots to be number 7. And I will tell you, I did not expect him to be this good. Obviously, by my preseason rankings, I thought Jonathan Brooks was going to be the guy. Dude, they keep fucking showing Bubba Bass. I don't know why. He just ate a pizza. Fucking fat ass. But anyways, I thought for sure Jonathan Brooks was going to be the guy in Carolina. But no, it's definitely going to be Chuba Hubbard as the future RB1 for this team. Coming in at number 6, we have Josh Jacobs from the Green Bay Packers. Huge pickup for the Packers. Packers were one of the top teams in the NFL this season in time of possession, and Josh Jacobs was a huge part of that. He was running behind the 9th ranked offensive line in Green Bay here. And preseason, we had him 11th. He jumps up 5 spots to number 6. Huge part of why they were winning this season. Big pickup, and I bet you that the Raiders probably missed this guy. Coming in at number 5, we have James Cook from the Buffalo Bills. And James Cook, also a huge part in the Bills' success this year. Not really talked about as much as Josh Allen. Josh Allen went absolutely crazy, but you got to give your props to James Cook on how good he was this season. 16 rushing touchdowns. He was running behind the 4th ranked offensive line, and preseason we had him 9th. He jumps up 4 spots here to number 5 to kick off our top 5. Now these next 4 guys had really good years, and kicking that off, we had Jonathan Taylor from the Indianapolis Colts, who was a huge bright spot on the Colts, who otherwise I think looked kind of underwhelming this season. But Jonathan Taylor had a breakout year, went on an absolute tear on the latter half of the year, and just looked like the prime Jonathan Taylor that we know and love. He was running behind like kind of middle of a pack offensive line, 15th here. And preseason, we had him 7th. He jumps up 3 spots to be within our top 5. And coming in at number 3, we have Bijan Robinson from the Atlanta Falcons, who was just a dependable, safe force on the Atlanta Falcons, who were otherwise, just like the Colts, disappointing this season. But Bijan Robinson had a fantastic solo campaign here. He was running behind the 11th ranked offensive line. And preseason, we had him 2nd, but he drops 1 spot. I wouldn't take that to heart whatsoever. That is just because the guys in front of him went absolutely crazy. And listen, if you're watching this video, please take a chance to just appreciate Bijan Robinson and his 2024 season, because it's not going to be talked about whatsoever with how good Derrick Henry and Saquon performed this season. And speaking of those guys, coming in at number 2, we have King Henry from the Baltimore Ravens. And yeah, King Henry had an insane season. At age 30, this dude had 5.9 yards per carry, 16 rushing touchdowns, damn near 2,000 rushing yards for the 2nd time in his career. He was running behind the 2nd ranked offensive line, but let me tell you, and this is no bias, that really does not mean much, because this dude led the league in yards after contact, and it wasn't even close. I mean, this dude was a beast this season. And please, for the love of God, the Ravens and Steelers game is on later. Please, Ravens, do not abandon the run game. Do not just completely forget your playbook like you did last season. I will literally freaking cry. I will post a video of me crying. I'm not even kidding you. Coming in at number 1, though, topping off our list, we have Mr. 2,000 yards himself, Saquon Barkley from the Philadelphia Eagles, who just had an absolutely insane year. And coming up with 2,000 rushing yards. And listen, I don't want to hear those stupid-ass people that keep saying he had an extra game. Obviously, he did not have an extra game. He sat out his last game. He still had 2,000 yards. Yeah, what a year this dude had. He was running behind the 12th ranked offensive line, so not even like the top 5 offensive line that the Eagles usually are, and he was still putting up these numbers. And preseason, we had him 5th as kind of a safe ranking, but he jumps up 4 spots to number 1. And guys, let me know what you think of my list. Who should be higher? Who should be lower? Right now, the Texans are currently beating the Chargers 10-6 in the wild card round, just so you know. CJ Stroud's throwing it deep, and I'm pretty sure he just threw a pick. He just threw an interception. Anyways, guys, have a great night. Enjoy these playoff games. Enjoy this video. If you guys are new to the channel, please subscribe. And if you guys made it this far and liked the video, please leave a like. I appreciate all of the support. Guys, thank you so much. I will see you guys in the next one. Later.